Nope.
Are you live?
Yes, you're live. That's what it says.
Everybody.
I'll move that just a little bit.
All right. Welcome back to Homestead. We are live. This is not Memorex. It is live.
Yeah, you can tell somebody's feeling better.
Yeah, I feel a lot better today. So welcome back to our Wednesday live stream. So tonight's topic is hay is how much? Stop.
So, we didn't get this pre-scheduled, so we'll see if anybody actually joins in. We didn't get it pre-scheduled because I wasn't sure that we were going to make it back on time. We have been downsizing a little bit, so we let some old turkey hens go. A couple old girls, some folks drove over from Eagle Point area, which is about 2.5 hours from us. So we were doing that, and I wasn't real sure we were going to make it back in time, so we apologize for not putting much notice out. So as usual, I guess we'll do the little update and kind of tell everybody what's been going on. So since last week, we have continued to get better. So a little bit of a nagging cough, not too bad, but a little bit here and there. Other than that, what do you think, 90%?
At least, I think 90%.
So. I've been getting out, working in the garden a bit. Caden's been working on his car and trying to do stuff. Like I said, a little bit of lingering cough here and there. So it has been really cool for us. We actually were down to 28 the other night. So thankfully, it's kind of one of those blessings and curses that I don't have the garden in yet, which is kind of a good thing, I guess. And so I've been working in the garden. Now that it's going to warm back up this weekend, we are set to go. I've got a bunch of beds ready. Just trying to make sure we're not going to get another frost or freeze. So we got a lot to get done here in the next week. But I guess the big news after we had our conversation last week is that my friend who said no, she wasn't coming, has relented. So we will have an assistant start in October. So, it's not ideal. I'd rather have help now. But October is better than nothing. So she is looking around for a camp trailer to live in. She's looking at some sheep she wants to bring over. So yeah, we're excited. We've still got to sit down and work out some details. Make sure that everybody is on the same page. Because one of my bigger fears in it is I've always been a firm believer that it's really hard to work with family and friends. And my dad has made a career out of working with his family in construction, but I've also seen a lot that failed really bad. So we're just going to do our best to really set really clear expectations of what we're looking for and what she's looking for, and just make sure that we're all on the same page. But yeah, so I finally got some help coming. Yay! Caden's excited. That means more shop time for him. I'm kind of grungy. I've been outside today. But yeah, that's kind of the biggest stuff that's been happening in the last week. We've been busy with our hip camp. Hatched some more birds, which we'll kind of get to in a minute. But sales are in the gutter for our part of the country. And so I'm kind of dialing back the plan there and whatnot. So yeah, the title of the week is Hay is How Much? So some people may know we're sitting in a drought. Most of the West Coast pretty much is. And we expected with higher fuel prices, because of course fuel has gone up like a full $1 plus a gallon since January. I finally got a hold of my hay guy because nobody has hay for sale right now. And that's not unusual for our part of the area. A lot of times they're not doing their first cutting until, mid to late June. But our hay guy doesn't advertise. It's kind of a waiting list only kind of thing. So I tracked down his number and I sent him a text and I was like, hey, we need about 12 ton as usual. And he said, yeah, no problem. I'm cutting in about 2 weeks. He said, you're on my list. I'll mark you down for your normal stuff. And I said, so, because a lot of times he doesn't have a price until the week before we get there. So I said, hey, do you have an idea and he said, yeah, it's gonna be $15 a bale this year. And of course, our bales are like 120, so we get 18 bales to the ton. Um, that is up 35% from last year. And I thought, golly, that's a lot. And I've been looking around, and the few people that are selling hay, that's it. Because remember that we're already, one of our irrigation canals in Klamath is already shut down.
Yeah.
And because of that, they're thinking there will be no second cutting, or very, very unlikely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so now my girlfriend is looking at sheep this weekend, and we're like, okay, well, we got to get another ton and a half for her. So yeah, it's interesting, and it's not just here. Central Oregon is having the same problem. I priced their hay out at 240 to 300 a ton. Plus the 2 to 3 hour drive up to go get it. So it's a day killer. And especially when we need about 12 tons. So that means about 4 trips up for us.
Yeah.
Maybe 5, because when you're hauling long distance, getting 3 on the trailer is really pretty tough. So yeah, so hay is looking pretty rough this year.
I fully expected to pay 300. I mean, when she came down, I was down at the barns doing chores a couple days ago, and she got the price, and she came down and she said, "Are you ready for this shock?" And I thought, okay, if she's saying that, I already had in mind it was going to be $300 a ton this year, and I'm thinking, wow, this is going to be 350. I just know it. It's just going to be like, oh my goodness. And she came down and said it's going to be 270, and I thought, okay. I thought it was going to be much worse. So 270, while it's up 35%, I expected 50% increase because of the fuel prices going up. The demand for water has been, I mean, it's been crazy around here. People are openly trying to thwart the federal government and, starting all kinds of stuff over it. So
the water issue, it's very complicated, as everything in life is, right? So the farmers feel that they're getting cut off because of these sucker fish. And yes, in part, but to be quite honest, there's just no water. If they let all the water out of Upper Klamath, like they want to, what the farmers want, if they will release the water, it's going to drop the water level so much that it's an interesting thing, because we're in this bowl. And so what happens in the winter is, if you don't have the humidity coming off of the lakes and rivers in this bowl, you don't get a lot of rain and snow. I've watched quite a few YouTube videos and read a lot in the last few years about how the weather works here, because we are high desert. It's kind of a weird deal. So you let the water out now, and so the farmers get the immediate kick of they can stay irrigating, stay growing. But what does that do for next year? And this becomes a continuing cycle. Being in a drought is not new for us. We were in a drought when we first moved here. We got out for like a year, and we're right back in it.
Yeah. So I mean, 1 of 7 years we had a surplus of water.
Yes.
Through snowpack.
Yeah.
That did it, and I don't know. I have a feeling if you take the water now to get by in 2021.
Are you killing 2022?
I mean, you might be devastating the next 5 years until that cycle comes around. Because I think when we got here, or you got here 7 years ago,
yeah,
it was year 4 for you and year 3 for me. I think that we had that massive snow.
Yeah, that was the year that we flooded the back pasture and actually got to hay our own property one year.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's been 3 years since then. So yeah, that would have been 4 for you, 3 for me.
And it doesn't matter how you feel about, whether climate change is real or not real or whatever else. The thing we know today is that it's dry. It's really dry.
Really dry.
So we have pasture all the way till mid-June. There is none. It's already turning brown. Luckily we have goats, so we're going to be running goats on a lot of sagebrush and stuff, because we can. Goats don't suffer the sagebrush toxicity that a lot of animals are. But guys, it's not just hay. I mean, we looked at hay and my girlfriend's still over in the valley and she's looking at it and she's like, well, hay's up a little bit, but not bad. And, by the time you go over and pick it up and come back over, it's really not any cheaper. Um, and we buy a 90-10 grass to alfalfa mix anyway. So, um, but on top of this, Kanan goes to buy chicken feed the other day, and feed in the last we just bought feed 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
It has gone up $2 a bag for a 50-pound bag. And I know that doesn't sound a lot, but when you go from the base price of what was it, $15.99 to $17.99,
Mm-hmm.
that's a pretty big increase. So, and then like I just kind of mentioned a minute ago, sales are in the gutter. So I deal with two rabbit buyers. One is the guy that I have done the most business with over the years, and he is not sure that he can continue on. So he's actually certified to sell meat. He sells to distributors because it's not worth his time dealing with grocery stores and restaurants. So he sells to distributors, and nobody is buying. Here in Oregon, we've had crazy shutdowns for forever, and basically it's killed our restaurant industry to the point where a lot of them have quit and aren't coming back. And distributors are backed up. So we're kind of in this situation where when I talked to him this last week and a half when he was here, he's telling me that he doesn't know long term if he's going to stay buying. Now, on the flip side of this, the other guy that is buying from me is actually giving us all raises because his demand is so strong that he pretty much does dog food. But regardless of him paying a little bit better, the big thing is I've always sold to the one buyer in particular because I actually would make a little bit of money on my litters. And that's if they were all culls. And that doesn't happen to me a lot, but sometimes, because I have pretty high standards, sometimes they're all culls. And basically, with the feed prices getting high, at this point, if I get a litter of all culls, when I'm selling him, I'm barely breaking even. Now, I'm sure everybody understands this is not how you run a farm. It doesn't work. And the rest of our demand has just really fallen off. So I had a waiting list at the beginning of the year that was 2.5 pages long. I think I'm down to 7 people. And it's mostly the people that wanted to buy Americans, but even some of them have fallen off. I look at the stuff getting more expensive in the store and I think, this to me is the time that, yes, okay, feed is going up a little bit, but I'm telling you what, you've got to, after all these hacks on meat packers and things, I really do believe that it's time to make sure you are master of your own protein destiny. Unless you're cool with veggie burgers and, do whatever. But yeah, so we're cutting some stuff back, trying to stay in the black this year. It may not happen, especially with our hay going up. But I'm cutting some less productive members of the flock. I'm cutting some less productive members out of the rabbit herd. I'm cutting some less productive members out of the goat herd, which I haven't done in a very long time. We are keeping a few because some of our older gals are aging out. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I'm a little shell shocked. I mean, like, we started the year strong with hatching and everything else. And it's kind of died down like big time. So I don't know what's going to happen. Like I said, I've still got a second rabbit buyer, and he does a couple of things. He sells blood. I don't know what he does with it. I don't know who he's selling it to. And then he does dog food. And the dog food demand where he's at is still strong.
Yeah.
So I'll eat it. But there again, he's somebody who buys once a month, and there's a local guy that ships up to him. And so you have to kind of play the game of when everybody is ready. Otherwise, you're sitting on some rabbits too long. And as we know, you sit on them too long, you're losing money. And of course, I'm planning like I said, I'm working on the garden right now, so I'm planning as much as I can to feed rabbits, and I've got the big dryer out already and drying stuff because, yeah, like I said, the hay going up 35% for us is I I'm still in shock. He apparently we had just talked to my parents a couple days before that, and my dad just said it's going up big time. It's going up big time, and so they talked about it. I didn't know he got 300 in his head because I was like 270, and understand that the year before we paid $11 a bale, and so it's up to 15 this year.
Yeah.
And it's always varied a little bit. I think the year before we paid 12. The year before that we paid 10. You know, like I said, we deal with a really good hay guy that, um, when prices are down for him, he passes that savings on to his folks. They have whatever their set margin is, and that's what they do. But yeah, it's a little bit worrisome, especially to see chicken feed going up. So $2 in like 3 weeks per bag is a lot. We go through a lot of feed.
We do. But
so what's going on over here? I keep seeing stuff pop up.
well, we have a lot of people on. So it says 14 are on right now. We have first calf Mike Litchford out from Hot Dry, Utah. He's on.
Very good.
Alex is on. Ranger Rob joined us tonight.
Very good.
Mana Anita is on. And Ray was on. And Ray was saying that he gets his hay out of Tule Lake from a feed store, or they do. They get it out of there. And they are currently out. He said he's only bought one bale of Timothy, and it was $25 a bale.
Wow, 25. Our feed store has always been around the $18 to $20 mark for hay. I haven't even looked lately to see what they.
Yep.
It's not unusual for hay to be out in this area right now.
Yeah.
Because they do usually, like, one of the big farms just started cutting last week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not unusual for them to be cutting in June for us.
Yeah, that's about normal. It's cutting in June, and we normally plan to pick up in late June. This will be what, year 3 that we've bought from the same.
No, this will be 4 or 5. Yeah, we've been buying for this guy a long time.
But Ray said he cut back from 50 New Zealands down to 18.
Wow, that's a cut.
It is a cut. Breton Farms has joined us. Green Tiger Freak is on. Let's see. Anita says corn is $10, 10 cents a pound, and going up at least 60 cents per pound, I think.
Well, we just bought some flour the other night. I'm going through flour a lot because when we have the hip camp going, I sell bread. I do a baked loaf of bread. I do honey wheat and white and jalapeno cheddar, and when I have zucchini bread. So I've been going through a lot because almost every camper here lately has ordered bread. In fact, one of them ordered 4 loaves here the last week or whatever. So yeah, I noticed my flour that I usually buy is up like 80 cents in the last couple of weeks. And yeah, corn is going up, and we knew corn was going to go up. We knew it was going to be a big deal. I don't feed cracked corn or scratch or anything really corn heavy, but it's in everything. It's in chicken feed, and corn syrup is in everything, and corn's in. They make ethanol and everything else. So it's I don't know. It's wild. And I'm hearing that beef prices have gone up quite a bit. And we don't eat a lot of beef.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the opinion that you try and develop a taste for the things that you raise. Makes more sense. So we are primarily chicken rabbit eaters.
Yeah.
But yeah, my dad's saying that beef is going up in the store quite a bit. So I don't know, guys. I don't know. The girlfriend has decided that she's coming out here and she's going to work with us. And I think it's a really interesting time for her to learn. I think this is going to be the big crash course. When you start farming in the middle of a drought and high prices, she's going to get a really, I think, I won't say rude awakening, but I think she's going to get a real crash course into and I love her to death, but she doesn't have a farm mindset in the way that we do. So like when I picked up rabbits from her the last time when she was getting out, she had 2 females to $3.
Yeah.
And I picked up quail, and she had 5 male quail to 3 females. So I think she's going to get a real quick learn that too many males not productive. You've really got to look at your bottom line, and just because they're pretty doesn't mean that they can stay. I mean, it's kind of one of those things. I just culled a bunch of quail a week ago,
Yeah.
a week and a half ago, because they were ready, and they were too many males. So we're looking at the same thing with roosters. I'm kind of reshuffling flocks, trying to figure out how few roosters I can get away with, because as we know, I mean, roosters are a vital part of the farm, right? I mean, they're important. Without them, we can't make the chicks that we sell. But at the same time, they cost me a bunch of feed and calories that I can use for somebody else.
Yeah.
So, and we are pretty specific. We do little niches of stuff. So, I run a couple of quads or a couple of trios here and there. I don't keep my flocks very big. And the reason I do that is because I have to keep an extra male anyway, right? It doesn't, like with my blue Wyandottes or my red lace blue, it doesn't do me any good to have one rooster and then they croak, because that's happened to me multiple times now. So if you're going to do that, you might as well just run two smaller sets and make sure your fertility is up. But right now I am seriously looking at it thinking, well, if I have to start crossing some of my colors together, maybe I'm going to do that, because it's hard to justify all those extra mouths right now.
Yeah.
So, what you getting? I see you typing over here.
Well, Robin just said he can't tell if folks are getting the hint to be self-reliant or not. I hope our channel motivates folks to be ready. And my response is, we feel the same way, but I read an article today on people are revenge spending. They've been locked up in this pandemic and they really didn't go on vacation. So people this summer are expected to just spend, like, they've had to sit on all this money over the last year from a pandemic. You really couldn't travel. You really couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And because people have been sitting on all this money, rather than saying, well, it's okay, that's we made it through, and that people are revenge spending is what they're terming it. But they're going like on extra vacations, and when they go on vacation, they're spending a lot of extra money because they couldn't do it before. It's like the old saying of money's burning a hole in their pocket. But it's really odd, because last year it seemed like everybody kind of panicked, and we had a fantastic year with rabbits.
And the birds.
I mean, we couldn't keep things here on the farm when we said they were ready. If we didn't have a buyer already lined up from a wait list, it would take 24 to 48 hours, and it was sold. And now I think, a week ago, Nikki had like 7 ads on Craigslist, and it was crickets.
Yeah. Like usually when I hatch goslings, because anybody who's raised geese know that it's a short season, right? We're really about done. They're really not laying anymore. So it's a short season. So you buy geese in the spring if you want geese, because it's short. I have never held geese longer than like 7 days, ever. And that's like 7 years of raising them, because they just, most people know you got to get them while you can get them. And I've never had to raise one up to eat them. And I'll tell you, today I have 8 in the brooder. One of them's 3 weeks old already. The others are 1 to 2 weeks old. I still have 8 or 10 more eggs in the incubator, and no geese. These are some 7-year-old geese that have been given away for free for pets. Or eat them. I mean, I don't care. But I didn't have time to do anything with them. I've had them available for 4 months, and that is really unusual for us. I've had buyers back out. People that were planning to come get stuff suddenly disappear and go incommunicado, which always makes me a little crazy.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Rob. I saw some really cool stuff last year, right? people growing gardens in their backyard and learning to can and make sourdough and start their own flock of chickens. And I thought, this is it. This is what our movement needed. We're going to all get back to the land, and this is really cool. And what I've seen this spring, and this is another reason that we're cutting back, is because I'm seeing people sell flocks of chickens for $5 a piece, and these are young, like year-old layers. Like, obviously, they bought them last spring. They're really just now getting going, and I don't know if they're overwhelmed by them, or I mean, I've seen ads that flat out said what they are, from $2 to $6 a chick. I can't compete with that with a full-grown laying hen for $5.
Yeah, I mean, we saw one that was, I mean, it was like shocking. It was a dozen hens and a rooster
for $50.
For $50. I mean, that's not. I mean, that's
you can't rate
$4. $4 a bird. You probably have triple to quad. I mean, you probably have $20 to $30 in over the last year of feed alone into those birds, and you're gonna fire sell them off for $5.
Well, that's what I'm seeing in everything. There's some local people right now on Craigslist selling rabbits for $5 a piece that are 5 and 6 months old, so they're plenty big enough to eat or breed. There's geese up right now they're 4 months old for $15 a piece. Well, I sell my hatchlings at 12, so that's a tough market. It's hard to compete against that kind of stuff because I won't give it away. It's not going to happen before I sell my size too much lower, because I really do think at some point this is going to bounce back, and those of us who haven't completely gotten out are going to be in that position to catch the rebound, so to speak. But man, I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah.
What am I missing over here?
So Matthew Lynch said he is trying to book honeymoon and flights, and they are expensive. And he said, maybe I just need to spend that on animals. And Rob said, or freezers, which I tell you what, there was 6 months ago, you couldn't find a freezer or fridge in the store.
Yeah, and now they're back.
And now they're back finally, but
yeah,
it looks like our service kind of cut in and out too, but it looks like it's back.
Okay.
It's been odd on our end too. The chat seems like it's going, but the stream of the video is kind of not great. But
well, every time we go to do a live stream now, it tries to storm.
Yeah.
So it was raining on us a little bit earlier, and it's like, what? So I guess that's the big thing, the big stressors in my life right now. The good news is our supplier who we're buying from this week. So hopefully we will have new batteries next week and maybe be back in operational power-wise by next weekend.
I have to go through the daily, turn this on, turn this off, run the generator at night. It's just, we've got it down to where it's just,
we're making it
along, and hope we can get by another week. But 2 weeks ago I had 2 batteries that were just failing. I mean, there's nothing to say. They were weeping, and we had to shut the system down, and we have a system out. We put the new batteries in, and we figured out how to do 6 to 10. And there's a couple times in there that it just drops completely through work, and thankfully I don't have a streaming service or anything through work, but some meetings, they get cut off and I have to jump back in. But otherwise, it seems like it's good.
Okay.
So work's going good for me. They're hiring, I guess, my replacement. I am technically temporary, if you want to look at that.
Yep.
I'm technically a temporary employee. So I work 4 hours a day, because that way I can get out there and take care of my goats in the morning, and we do everything else as we need to on the farm. But it's been to the point where I've had to stay longer hours and come back on and get back on later, and it's good. Everybody's happy, everybody's excited, we're making progress on things, but it slows down the farm, I'll say that. It's slowing down the farm. We still haven't got our fences put up. We haven't even started. We've had range cows now. There's eight calf
Yeah,
and
cow calf pairs.
yeah, so there's 8 of those that have now made it to our property back where our hip camps are. So
Which is way early.
yeah, it's way early.
Usually they're here in July and August. And
yeah, last year because there was nothing, they were here in June.
yeah.
And this year they're here in June, but the cows basically decimated our field and everything along the way. They just ate everything. There was nothing to stop them. And so this year we are in a drought and it didn't really come back. So they have come all the way in here and they don't stay very long. They come down in here, try and eat what they can, and they head out looking for water. And yesterday they tossed one of our campsites. They had knocked the trash can over, which thankfully was empty, but they knocked it over. They ripped the bag out. They flung the fire pit.
They did.
They got mad and tossed our campsite, so we had to get that cleaned up for a camper last night. But otherwise, it's been pretty good. I mean, it's busy. The garden's behind, fencing. At some point we may just go out there and just turn the goats loose. We have barbed wire. We may just have to turn the goats loose and let them go eat. There's plenty to eat. It's a matter of you don't want them to get to the barbed wire, or there's nothing to stop them from getting down here to the garden. So we've had that before where they get out and they come meandering down and come into the garden because it's the best greenery on the property because it's watered all the time. So we'll see how it goes.
So, oops. Hold on. So Ray made this comment, and I guess I'll mention this. So Ray said, "I hope Vanessa's back for next year's rabbit class. The two of you working together was awesome. I just wish she could have been there a little longer during the medical portion." So I'm not sure that we're going to do any more classes because inevitably, and I'm not kidding you, the Monday after rabbit class, I got 4 emails from people who said, "Oh, sorry we missed your class. Let us know when you're doing blank." The big thing was butchering. "And we'd love to come out and spend a day with you and just really learn from you." And we kind of mentioned this beforehand, that this had been an ongoing thing. But yeah, 4 emails the Monday after class, which I ignored because by then we were coming down with whatever COVID or whatever we were getting. So I am really frustrated with doing classes because every time we put a class into the rotation that somebody's asked for, nobody books it. And then, like I said, we get a lot of this folks that come in the 11th hour or right afterwards and go, "Oh, rats, sorry we missed it. Well, let us know and we'll come out and help you." And let's be honest, people who don't know what they're doing aren't help.
It's help for them because they get to learn
for free is what they're asking for. So I don't know that we're gonna. I'd like to still do 1 class a year. I don't know that we're going to anymore. It's tough. There's a lot of prep that goes into it and a lot of time, and we did okay this last time, but like back in the fall, Ray knows this, he was here, we barely broke even. But which was okay because it was a trial run, and we got screwed up from the fires in September, and so not everybody could make it in October, so it was fine. And we did okay. It was kind of worth it this time, but it's really tough to do that kind of stuff with people being. So I don't know. So what I'm telling those people now is, we will do a one-on-one consultation. This is my new thing, and so far the 2 people I have told this to have not contacted me back. We are happy to do a one-on-one consultation with whatever you want to do, and it's gonna book at $40 an hour. And you basically, what I told them is, you give me a list of the things you want to know, and I will give you a time frame and say, look, this is going to take us 3 hours. Book, build at $40 an hour, and it's a 50% non-refundable deposit. and we'll go from there. So as you can imagine, yeah, like I said, crickets. You know, it was basically people who wanted to come help for a day,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it's unfortunate, really, because I have the same problem on my side of anything car related. I would always have people would see the things I've done and then say, "Hey, could we come out to your shop when you're doing that next time and hang out, or would you should teach us. You should show us how to do that." And there's certain things that I, spent a weekend, you know, I spent a weekend. I traveled to go do something, or I spent a week going on my own dime to go learn a class. I had to book hotel and travel, and it all this stuff was never cheap. And everybody is cool if it's free when it's my free that has to be given away.
yeah,
But when I say, you can go take the class like I did, or you can go do certain things, they're like, "Oh man, dang, oh." But yet, the next time you see them, they're like, "Hey, look at all these shiny new parts I bought." And it's like, "Well, why didn't you invest in yourself and actually learn how to do something?" And they're like, "Oh, see, well, what happened was."
well, the frustration that I get is a lot of these same people are the ones that contact me over and over again for
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
So
Oh my, but they don't contact me, but I see Nikki all the time. Like, "Oh, so and so called me, or sent me another email." They won't pay for a $70 class to get more than they bargained for, but they will send you 40 emails or messages over the course of 2 weeks trying to like gain all that information. And it's like,
and I have quite a few people all over the country, or actually all over the world, that I get emails from and I talk to a lot.
mm-hmm.
And that doesn't bother me. What bothers me is the people that are an hour from me or 4 hours from me, because we do offer camping.
Yeah.
Yeah, that are too busy to take a class, but suddenly think that they have time to come hang out.
Yeah.
So I don't. We have such a hard time when we go back and forth on this, because the whole point of our channel is to teach and to help.
Yeah.
And that is kind of the mission, right? So I have a hard time saying to somebody, "Yeah, you want to come out here? It's $40 an hour to learn that," but a one-on-one thing is so disruptive. I mean, the farm is go, 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 go all the time, especially right now because we missed 3 weeks from being sick. So it's really disruptive. And all these people, it's always, "Oh, well, we'll come out and we'll help." Yeah. We can take a rabbit cage to cooler in 6 minutes. You're not helping.
Yeah.
There's no way.
There's no free time to add in a third person, because at that point you have to rebalance everything. And it's certain things are a one person operation. The other pieces are a one person operation. You can't say, "I want to take a little bit of this and a little bit of that to make it distribute out to 3 or 4 people."
Yeah.
And, in the class for butchering, in the rabbit class, we set aside a good 45 minutes just to do 2 rabbits.
Because he talks all the way through
Because
it.
I talk all the way through it, and I show pieces of the rabbit. This is how you cut. This is how you hold. This is what you're doing. I mean, in 45 minutes, we can do almost, 8, 9 rabbits.
Well, and I got the same thing on the quail end, where somebody wanted to come help the next time I butchered quail. And y'all, the last time I butchered quail, I was still not feeling very well. I went out and butchered 8 quail in like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's not a real time intensive thing. So it's really hard to be like, "Yeah, come on out and help." I don't know what you're gonna do. It's kind of a one person operation. Chickens are one of those things that actually you could probably get somebody to help with, but nobody wants to come do that. They want to come. They want to come. Like one lady said, "Well, when you're breeding your rabbits and doing stuff, I want to come help and get in there." And it's like, okay, well, it's literally, I pull rabbit from cage, put rabbit in other cage, and they do the work. So I can breed like 15 rabbits at once, and it doesn't take me any time, because I'm not really the one that's doing the work there. So
it's not playtime.
But
I
that's
know.
where we're at right now. So
Well, what side?
Ray was mentioning the rabbit class. We might do another one. We might just cut down to one in the spring every year
Yeah.
and let the chips fall where they may. If people want to come, they want to come. But the idea that you can just pop in and come hang out and learn, that's not happening anymore. Uh, I
Yeah.
just can't. And maybe things will change once Vanessa is here and helping. I don't foresee that. I mean, the
Watch what
whole
you're
point
doing.
is to get more work done, not less. So yeah, but that's where we're at. If you want a one-on-one consultation, we'd be happy to host you and teach you whatever you want to know. Just know that we are going to bill it at $40 an hour, and it's not because we're money hungry or anything else. It really is. It takes us a lot of time. I mean, I'm a big handout kind of nerd. I mean, people who have been to the rabbit class could tell you. I think last time it was a 20 page. It was like 10 pages front and back, like 20 pages of notes and information that you go home with. There's medical charts and all kinds of stuff. So, um, I think trying to sit down for a class is great, but you've got to have the reference materials to go with it. Um, so yeah, I mean, it just is what it is. I've got to
Yeah.
cover my costs and my time and prep time and all that kind of stuff. So
Yep. Yep.
that's kind of where we're at with it.
I know. It's.
So what is everybody else doing? I mean, obviously Ray cut way back. I know my girlfriend in town is talking about cutting back. Like I said, we're seeing a lot of people cut back on birds and everything, which that I think is a dangerous idea. I really think these people are, for the most part, people are doing it just for vacations. I know one lady that was on our list to do rabbits this year. She had to back out because they had a medical emergency with their cats. It's kind of a bummer. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just wild stuff. Wild stuff.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know where, at this point, I don't know where things are going anymore. I mean, like, you can't get, you can't get ketchup when you go to Burger King for your fries because
Right.
there's no ketchup.
I mean, it's
Feed's going up. I'm so confused about life. I
I know.
I won't even lie. I'm so confused.
I think I feel like the only thing that's not going up is what everybody says is wages. And so when hay costs you an extra $900, like I told Nikki the other night, that $900 has to come from somewhere.
Well, and you can't even say that wages aren't going up because
Well, true.
right now in our town, literally every place we've gone is hiring.
Right.
And I mean every place. The gas station is hiring, the feed store, Walmart, Fred Meyer's, all the fast food places in town. Everybody is going up. So huge amounts of job, and fast food right now in our town is starting at $13 an hour.
Well, Taco Bell was doing $15 an hour to start, and
It breaks my. In 1998, I worked for McDonald's
and Taco Bell and another job at the same time.
Well, yeah, that was when I was pulling 4 jobs to make sure I could pay my bills. But yeah, I made like $7 an hour. Granted, it's been 20 years.
Yeah, it's been 20 years. But yeah, it's just wild. It's just hard to believe how much extra things cost and where you find the stuff for it. I mean,
so Michael Litchford made a comment. He said, "Have you ever considered videoing how you do these things and put it on a DVD and selling them?"
Yes.
We have. We talked about doing an online class, and we talked about doing videos and actually selling videos. And the thing that I have found is that people are cheap.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. So, I mean, to say that for Michael, so we talked about the rabbit class and how we could break it up into chapters, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
And so we thought, well, what if we could break this up into 20 or 25 chapters? And it would be honestly pretty easy to do, as much information as Nikki has. You could, break that up into, like, let's say 25 is the number. You could do 15 to 20 minute chapters, and it would be hours and hours of watching. the hardest part of it is, without building a website and to be able to release all that stuff out, you could, if somebody came in, for our current members that pay us $2 a month for our stuff, I guess you would say is reserved for them, butchering, rabbit, net, they would pay $2 a month, and if we release that out over a year, obviously they would pay $25 a year,
Right.
essentially, and they would have it all. Somebody could come in with the way YouTube is set up right now. Somebody could come in at
video 18
or video 20 or 25, pay $2, binge watch it all, and then get right back out.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, and like, you can set it up through other services where it's $1.99 a video or whatever it is.
Yeah.
We don't know, and I have to have time to do it. And I thought about filming when we were doing class, but what happens is when you're interacting with people, you end up jumping around a little bit. Like, we'll be talking about one thing and somebody will ask a question, and while you say, okay, well, we'll talk about that more in depth when we get down here, but the short answer to your question is, I don't want people to not get the information they're looking for. It gets kind of disruptive to do it, and trying to find time. We thought we were going to have some time over the winter to sit and record and do these things. For us, time is so hard to come by that I don't know what the long term is.
Yeah, we've looked at various options. We looked at doing members only access, which we put it out 3-4 months ago, and it was honestly a trial. We didn't know, one, would anybody sign up?
Yeah.
If they did sign up, how long would they stay? And it was kind of a trial to see if we would have people that would stay with us through that for a couple bucks a month if we just released out special content of certain
Which we're
things.
behind on right now.
We are,
being
and
sick.
I know that darn COVID. It's an excuse for everything. But we've looked at different options for DVD, and there are things that I'm not sure how to do it, and it's really part of it is you need a DVD burner. We've had people from foreign countries, not from the U.S., and I was thinking of somebody from South Africa that was interested in stuff like that. But then again, they may or may not have the same ability to use a DVD from the U.S. Maybe, there's just a lot of extra little pieces that you'd have to figure out.
We're still looking at it, and at some point we'll probably do it, but I don't have a good answer for it right now. So Green Tiger Freak said, we're trying to save to buy a few acres. Prices are crazy and don't know if it's worth buying now or waiting for another drop. Go in and watch the video from Economic Ninja. He had a really good video the other day talking about that very thing, whether it's time to buy or whether or not you should wait. The big thing from what we're seeing, and again, part of the reason my friend's coming here is because she cannot find land. We've done a lot of looking at this, and we've looked all over the country and watched the prices go up because we talked about moving out of Oregon. There is a crash coming in the market. It's inevitable. It's just the way things are sitting right now. But on the other side of that, I read an article here this last week where they are saying that banks are looking at their lending criteria and thinking about changing it. So the thing forever has been they won't give you a bigger mortgage than like 40% of your take-home pay. Banks are now looking at dialing that back to 20 to 25 as everything else starts to go up. Well, that really changes your buying power.
It does. You think about it, how many people have a 20% down payment anymore in cash?
Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of stuff is really high right now. So what the Economic Ninja was basically saying is, if you think you're going to stay there for a long time and you're just not worried about it, like if you're in a town you like and you know your job's stable and it's what you want, then it's worth doing. If you think you're only going to be there 5 years or less, or maybe you want to move somewhere else, it's probably not worth doing. And you just might know that if you go buy right now, the market could crash at a rate that you might end up upside down. But if you've gotten that land and are doing some of this more self-reliant type stuff, I think it's going to balance itself out. Uh, but that's something you've got to really look at with your own finances. It's an interesting conundrum. I mean, we're not going anywhere just because it's a hassle. But yeah, it's an interesting problem. Like I said, we've looked at it a lot because a girlfriend of mine has been looking for a place for a year and is just giving up, and she's just going to come here and do the thing with us.
Yeah.
So Ray said, I think during the 2020 COVID scare, everybody wanted to get into homesteading. That's why it was so hard to find starter plants and seeds. They realized homesteading is just not their thing. To a degree, I think that's very true. I think a lot of people figured out that it's more time intensive and more work than they want to put in. And let's be honest, a lot of people spent like $20 to grow a tomato plant because they don't always know what they're doing. And I've seen a lot of people last year who killed their chickens pretty much as fast as they were buying them. So it gets to be expensive. Or people who didn't realize you're going to wait 6 to 9 months to get that first egg, you know. It's almost and we talk about these things all the time, but it almost feels like a lot of people see the prices going up at the grocery store, and they see the prices going up at the gas pump, and they know it's coming, but are so paralyzed and so don't want to believe that things are going to get worse that they're in active denial. That's my new word for it. Active denial, to where you know it's bad and you know it's going bad. It's like you see sometimes with people who get diagnosed with cancer or are told they have X amount of time to live. Sometimes people react really badly to that, and they go into an active case of denial where they still do everything they want to do, and they blow the money and they do the things, and they say, that's not going to happen to me. I don't care what they're saying. And I kind of feel like that's where we're at, because like I've had 4 people that I know pretty closely in the last couple of weeks all take extended vacations to Vegas. Good half dozen of the people I know are booking trips to Disney World and Disneyland for their kids, and they're going for like a week, and that ain't cheap. And it's just like they're actively some people I think are trying to get the good times in before the bad times come, and they're rushing to go do things like take the vacations because we may not get a vacation again, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting problem. I don't know what the answer is, but I do agree that some of that is they realize homesteading isn't their thing. And the thing that I find interesting about that is, 100 years we didn't call it homesteading, we called it living. So, like everybody had a garden in the backyard, and everybody had a couple of chickens because that was life, right? We detached from the natural order so much that this is now what life is going to the grocery store and, whatever. So, I don't know. Is it really that homesteading isn't their thing, or are they just trying to pretend that it's not getting bad? I don't know. What do you think?
We talked about it over the weekend, that the old thing of, how do you boil a frog? You turn the water up slowly. You don't throw them in a hot tub. You put them in cold water and you just slowly turn it up. I really wonder how many people on the majority or the macro of it stand back and look back and go, I just spent 20% more on the same groceries than last month.
Yeah.
How often do we do that? That, yes, when we go in and buy and we're like, feed just cost me $2 more a bag. That's $20 that I just spent more than I would have 3 weeks ago. Yeah. Or, how often do you do that? I don't know how many people really are looking at the fine details of it.
5 cents here and 10 cents there.
It
doesn't catch the attention of very many people.
If something goes up 50%, it's, it was normally 75 cents, and look, now it's $1.10. How many people look around and go, wait a second. Everything has gone up 30%.
Yeah.
You know, and some people may just do that. They don't change. They just go, well, change it. I can't stop it from happening. I still need the gasoline. I still need groceries. So I guess I'll just cut back on, I don't know, something else. But
yeah,
it's really, I can't explain it. I'll say that. I'll admit that. I can't explain it because I can't even wrap my head around it most of the time.
yeah. No, it's we've been looking at the budget and trying to work our way through the fact that hey, it's costing us an extra $900 this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. I really don't. But before we end this video, we'll talk about some more positive things. Lots of new homestead projects coming. I'm trying to get caught up on some of this, and then lots of new projects coming because we think this is a darn good time to be doing stuff. And lumber is coming down. Because my dad's in construction, we do see a lot of the more commodity prices, and he's more connected. And they are saying prices are coming down slowly, but coming down. You're going to see it fastest at true lumber yards than the home improvement stores because they got you. They got the guy who needs 2 or 3 2x4s, right? They've got that guy. So if you've got a bigger project, look to lumber yards. That's where you're going to see the prices decrease first. But yeah, we might be building another barn this year as we get ready for sheep coming in. The girlfriend of mine is looking this weekend at the sheep, trying to make a deal on them. And those are
Icelandic sheep.
Icelandic sheep. They are, I think, classified a true milking sheep. So that means by this fall, we'll be doing some videos on sheep, or we'll be getting Vanessa to do some videos on the sheep. Next year, she's saying ducks, if we can still find anything. She wants to get some ducks back in here. She's had a couple of different kinds, so I don't know what she's looking at there. But it'll be interesting. So we're going to bring in another person in to bring a whole different perspective. We'll be getting the fencing going here shortly. We put the auger back on the tractor today. And I will probably make a video this week. I wanted to do it today, and it was way too windy. I am converting almost every one of my raised garden beds to hugelkultur style garden beds in an effort to save water. And you might remember I did some of these a month or so ago. And guys, I'm sold. I'm really seeing a difference. The big thing is now I have to relearn how to water because we tend to be really dry here, so you water a lot and very often. And I kind of gave my onions a hard time, I think, because I was overwatering. They were starting to yellow, and I thought, what the world? The hugelkultur thing is working. It's holding the water that it should, but unfortunately that means I got to back off and learn how to do it again. So, but I'll have a video coming up on how I'm doing it. It's a pain because they're all established beds.
Yeah.
So I'm digging everything back out, laying cardboard, putting the sticks and logs in, and then recovering. So it's kind of a big process, but we're in a drought. What else can you do, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to save water everywhere we can.
Yeah, and I'll have a couple solar videos coming out. So I'll have one on the best off-grid. I'm gonna probably just gonna do solar, not even call it off-grid, but the best battery for your solar system, and kind of go over some of the options out there and what you have to consider for them. I have no doubt the minute I release that out, people are going to watch 3 seconds of it and put in the comments, get lithium. And it's so much more complex than that. I thought I was going to do that I was going to find the best price lithium out there. And man, did I have to learn a lot of stuff.
I don't know that I believe that lithium is where the market should go right now.
There's just a lot of options out there, and if you're putting in to an existing system like we are, there are considerations I never thought of. I had to learn a lot of things. There's a lot of lingo out there. And I tell you, if you are trying to put in a system, or people in the future are trying to put in a system, I get why you go through a solar company, because there are so many things to consider.
Yeah.
Just
Like
trying
our
to,
equipment wouldn't work with
yeah,
them.
and so I'll make a video on the best battery, and I know it's gonna just. What I hope is that people are just gonna watch it and lose their minds when I don't choose lithium.
Probably.
Probably so, but it's gonna be interesting, and then I'll do one on kind of setting how we have to adjust everything around. I've already designed up based on size that our current battery box that we've had for the last 6 years, it won't work. It's too small. So we have to expand the box. I've got out my little graph paper and drawn everything up to scale to do it, and then we'll have to expand it just a little bit, about 6 inches one direction, to make it work and have to get everything going. But it's going to be a change, and it's going to be exciting to see how long these last compared to the calculations. I've already, I learned last time from doing the flooded lead acid batteries and figuring all the calculations based on temperature and cycles and figuring out these ones should last. Now, if they go by their exact calculations and the insulation method I'm going to change, these should last us 12 years.
Yeah.
There is potential to go a little bit more than that, so it'll be interesting to see, will these actually last till 2033? I don't know.
So Ray made a interesting comment. It says, so dependent on the system. My dad was 11 when they first got electricity, and my grandfather was 16 when he saw his first automobile. He was going across Colorado in a wagon train pulled by ox. We tend to think of ourselves as pretty independent for the most part, but I will say that there's a lot of stuff you can catch in us. This battery thing, one of the covers on one of the domes ripped in the storm a couple weeks ago, and I priced out new greenhouse film, and the price has gone up a little bit like everything else. But what caught me off guard is where they've always sent it to me in under a week. It's now, what I say, 3 to 4 weeks?
3 to 4 weeks shipment.
Lead time.
Yep.
So, even those of us that feel pretty independent minded, man, we're all kind of stuck on the same hamster wheel. I mean, we really are.
Yeah.
We have to be worried about feed prices and shortages. And we were in Walmart the other night. The entire dog food aisle was empty. The entire dog food aisle. Anything bigger than like a 5-pound bag of dog food was gone.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting because when I have traveled around for work in the past, right? It was interesting because when the first trip over to Japan was incredible. The differences between America or the US and Japan was, I mean, it just was shocking. By the 6th trip, I was just kind of like, yeah, it is what it is. But many countries around the world, there is a wait list. You have to order stuff to get it delivered.
Whereas we live in the time of Amazon, right? Where we're used to like instant.
Well, yeah, you want something, it'll be there in 3 hours. Done. It was interesting to me because I was in automotive. Of course, I always paid attention to car things. But here you have these mega lots that have 1,000 cars and trucks on a lot for some of these big dealers. Any color you want, any option you want, unless you want something that they're going to make uber rare, you can have it or transferred, within a day from another dealership. In Japan, in Europe, and some of these other countries, you may order a car, and even if it's just a basic sedan, they literally have like 6 cars on there, and one is just going to be like a mid-grade of everything. That's their demo vehicle. You don't test drive them. You don't do anything. They have a little studio that you walk in, you look at the model they have on hand, you go through the options, and you order it, and it shows up in 3 weeks to a month. It's a whole different change. This battery thing it shocked me. Nikki asked me the other day, I'm usually not very easygoing on stocking up on things. She's like, oh, I'm going to get some extra. And I go, don't you already have a couple of those now? And she's like, yeah, but I'm usually like...
I was raised in the prepper hoarder type.
Well, and I wasn't. I was not raised in the mentality that you keep a lot of stuff on hand. I always saw that out of my grandparents. My parents weren't that way, that they didn't keep a month's supply of blank because of shortages or the fear of shortages.
I just hate going to town.
So when I put off buying our batteries this year because I thought, oh yeah, no big deal, I'll get them no problem. And when we started having the problem, Nikki finally got me to get off my butt and go look at batteries, and so I started looking at them, and I contacted the vendor of our equipment, and there again, I went in with a plan, and thankfully I probably had more knowledge than most people because I've spec'd out the system. But I went in and told them, hey, I'm going to go do this. Is that going to work? And they said, no, your equipment won't work with this. So you've got to go for this type of battery. And when I looked at that, you can put that into, I think it was on Bing because it's on my computer, but you put that into Google or Bing, you look at, there's pages and pages and pages of, people that sell them. And so I literally went through the pages contacting 3-page worth of every supplier or every retail outlet that sold these. I even contacted the manufacturer of these batteries that was the best recommendation for our system. And everything was the one I got, I ordered them. I knew how many I needed. I ordered them. They already had a standing order that I could jump from. That's what we're pulling in. But it's right now almost a month. When they get here, it'll have been a month since ordering from them.
And that was good.
And that was good because most places I found to get that battery, the lead time was 16 to 26 weeks to get those batteries. Now, getting them in 4 weeks is pretty awesome now, but it was a shock to me at that time because I thought, come on, guys, this isn't fancy stuff. These are just batteries. What I didn't realize, and this was after talking with a salesman from one of the companies I contacted, he had said, the batteries you want, he said, right now, every major telecom is rolling out 5G, and they're putting in battery backups into their towers. Guess what battery they want to go into those towers? And it is the battery I bought.
Yeah.
So he had said, the manufacturer normally would build a year ago they were building 2,000 batteries per month, and they had the overcapacity to do that. He said right now, because telecom is buying out everything for 5G, they are producing 10,000 batteries per month. And if you want some and somebody didn't have them, it's at least 4 to 6 to 6.5 months lead time. It shocked me. It's just flat. I was just like, why didn't I do this, when we started having problems 6 months ago or 3 months ago? Why didn't I look at it? I didn't know. And now it's, when you go to the store and Nikki's like, she's like, hey, do we need, yep, put it in the cart. If you think we need it, buy it. Because you could come back next time and be like, if you guys are thinking of shortages, we've seen automotive with the chips and all the little pieces. And then, like a week ago or a few days ago, there was a whole complete tanker lost on sea from Denso. And they're a big manufacturer to all the automakers.
Yeah.
They're a Japanese company, but they lost a complete tanker off the coast where it ran into another ship and sank. So they lost, I don't know how many, multi-million dollars of auto parts. But if you're having a problem before, it's going to be even worse now.
Like I said, we've got more positive stuff coming, but in the meantime, guys, take inventory.
Yeah.
I'm not saying hoard stuff. There's a difference between hoarding and planning ahead.
Yeah. Don't panic hoard. That's what gets into trouble. People panic.
Don't buy 75 cases of corn unless you really got a thing for corn.
Yeah.
But pay attention. Things are going up, and things are going up at a rapid clip, and we're reevaluating stuff here all the time. I mean, like weekly at this point. That's how fast things are changing. I wish they weren't. Wish we could all catch our breath with it a little bit, but things are changing, and they're changing rapidly.
Yeah. I'm going to throw this idea out there, and I had already talked to Vanessa about that. I had asked Vanessa to consider documenting everything for her. I don't know that she is exactly ready for it because it's, when you get into doing YouTube and other videoing or anything, the old saying or the old practice of if you want to get better at speeches, you stand in front of the mirror and watch yourself give the speech
Yeah.
because you figure out you're really not as cool as you think you are. You stutter more than you do. You say more. I had thrown it out to Vanessa that she should document everything she does on a weekly basis, and that included maybe the decision to move out here. I mean, now would be the time that she's made a pros con list to really kind of decide out, trying to flesh out details of is this the best decision? And we had talked about it. She took 2 weeks to decide no, it wasn't the best decision. And then a week later, after asking a few more questions, it was maybe if I could come in this time frame. And we said no. And then you give it another, 5 days, 6 days. And then we all kind of came to an agreement.
Yeah. So we may have some interesting new content this fall coming from her and a new perspective.
Yeah.
So
it would be, I think it would be just interesting just to do it more like a vlog, just to capture her everything, really, her initial reaction of, when we made this offer to her, what was her initial, response to that. We know the results of it, but if you record yourself and how she feels about it, packing up her property she leases or rental house, packing that up, moving, getting sheep. I mean, it'll be such a different perspective if she wants to do that. So if she watches this, I'm gonna peer pressure you with all the other people watching that. But if you guys want to see that, you guys can leave a comment on the live stream, or of course later on in the video after it's processed and loaded. Collie.
Cat ran by.
But if you guys want to see that or any kind of perspective, I have asked Vanessa to consider making that series together just to kind of see. Based on last week when we even proposed the idea that she had said no, it seemed like an overwhelming amount of people that watched the live stream had said, if I only had the chance, there would be no doubt in my mind to do that. So, who knows?
Ray was just asking if I could do a video about saving seeds. I can this fall. Nothing's really growing at the moment, but I did some of that this last fall, so I can do that. Yeah. All right, well that is kind of our video for the week. Hopefully this weekend maybe we'll get another video out. Now that we're feeling better, we can get out and start doing some more stuff. So
yeah. It's all time.
Yeah, it's all time.
It's all time.
But yeah, since I'm right in the middle of gardening mode, we'll start doing some gardening videos. Like I said, this hugelculture thing is kind of interesting. I was not a big believer that it was going to make that big of a difference, and I am going to have to watch what I plant in it, because like I said, there's a learning curve, and I'm already finding that I overwater a little bit for what.
Well, I feel like hugelculture really got pushed out there with Homestead Rescue.
Yeah,
it seemed like every farm, every place they went to, Misty always put in hugelculture. And after a while, I feel like me personally, I got desensitized to it. Like it was a really good idea, but after you see it like the 17th time, and you just kind of just go, oh, okay,
well,
you're doing hugelculture again.
And we're doing it different because we're doing it in raised beds where they're doing true mound. We're doing something different, but Ray thought it would be awesome to see Vanessa out doing some videos.
Well,
look, she's going to be my employee. So what I make her do on her working days. There's her warning. She watches it, she's gonna be like, what? Yeah, that's now going to be one of her
I got plans.
Dreams,
goals, all plans. The stuff I don't like to do around the homestead, my employee has to do.
She's my employee, not yours.
I'm paying for it.
Anyway. All right, guys. Well, I think that is it for tonight. Great program tonight. Good night, everybody. Good night, Matt, to Michael and to Ray. I know Alex was on, everybody that made it. I think we're going to stick with the Wednesday live streams.
It seems like it works.
We're getting better connection. We're not fighting as many channels since everybody seems to want to do the Monday night live stream.
I've started seeing, though, some people switching Monday to Wednesday, and I'm thinking, y'all, is it because of us we're following you?
I'm sure we're disappointed.
That's what I want to be, the vanity of it. Y'all are following us.
But we're going to probably stick to Wednesdays for a while and just kind of see how it goes. It seems to be working just fine for everybody so far. So the next, Ray's asking when the next member video is. We're going to try to do Sunday this week to catch up for May. And then the next one for June is, I'm going to have to post it because I can't remember.
The 22nd, whatever that Sunday is, or 23rd. I can't remember.
I'll have to look at the calendar. But for the members that are still on, we're going to try and do one Sunday to catch up because we missed May's because of, first we had class and then we were sick. So we owe you guys an extra live stream. So we're going to try and do that on Sunday. All right, guys, so that is it. As always, if you have questions, comments, concerns, just want to chat, you can always get me on email. I'm finally about caught up. It's srhomestead@yahoo.com, or you can hit us through Facebook or the rest. So I don't know, guys. Keep your powder dry, as my granddaddy always used to say. Keep your powder dry, and keep an eye on everything. I don't like the whole head on a swivel thing. It sounds ridiculous.
It's military. We're not military.
Keep an eye on things. And we will see you guys next week. Happy homesteading.